She fell before him, blood, dirt, and tears. The sun was setting behind the hills, painting the sky in orange and red. The trade road was almost empty, except for one man walking with a heavy bag over his shoulder. His name was Jace, a simple, human trader moving between old colonies on the edge of the galaxy. He didn't expect to find anyone that day. But then, he saw her. A figure was crawling on the rocky path ahead. Bare feet, torn clothes, chains still wrapped around her wrists. Her body shook with each movement. Her skin was pale gray, stained with blood and dirt. Her long silver hair was tangled and full of dust. Jay stopped. The alien woman looked up slowly. Her eyes were large and glowing faintly purple, but they were filled with fear and shame. She opened her mouth, and her voice was dry, broken. "Please take me," she whispered. "Make me your slave. Human." Jace stood frozen for a moment. The wind blew dust around his boots. He looked left and right. There was no one else around. The woman collapsed at his feet, face down. Her body trembled. He knelt beside her. "Hey, are you hurt?" he asked gently. She didn't answer. Her eyes stayed shut. Her breathing was weak. Jace reached for his canteen and offered her water. She flinched, but then slowly, her dry lips touched the edge. She drank a little, coughed, then drank more. Her eyes opened again. I'm sorry," she said. "I'm dirty, worthless. Just take me. I won't fight." Jace frowned. "I'm not taking anyone as a slave," he said firmly. "You're injured. You need help." The woman's eyes filled with tears. No one had spoken to her like that before. No one had ever looked at her without disgust or hunger. "You won't use me?" she asked in a soft voice. Jace shook his head. "No, I'm not like the ones who did this to you." Her lips trembled. She looked like she didn't believe him, like she couldn't believe him. He gently picked her up. She was light, too light. Bones poked through her skin. Her ribs moved with every breath. "I'm taking you to my trailer." "It's not far," he said. She didn't resist. As he walked, her head rested against his shoulder. He could feel her heart beating fast like a frightened animal. She smelled of blood, sweat, and metal. But under that, there was something else, something soft, fragile, alive. He reached his small desert trailer in 10 minutes. It was hidden behind rocks, well camouflaged. He laid her down on a soft seat, gave her more water, and searched for a medical kit. "Why did you think I'd make you a slave?" he asked, while cleaning her wounds. Her eyes stared at the ceiling. "Because that's all I am now. That's what they made me. A thing. A broken thing." Jace didn't answer. He looked at the broken metal collar still locked around her neck. The marks on her back told a dark story. Whip scars, burn lines, old bruises. She had suffered. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The alien girl hesitated. "I had a name. Once. Before I was sold. They called me Thalri." "Thalri," he repeated. "That's a beautiful name." She turned her head away. "Don't say that. It hurts to hear kindness." Jace was quiet. He didn't push her. He gave her food. She refused at first, but her hunger won. She ate slowly, eyes watching him carefully, ready to flinch at any sudden movement. But Jace didn't move fast. He didn't touch her unless he had to. He let her be. Night fell. Thalri sat curled in a blanket, eyes wide open. "You can rest," he told her. "You're safe here." She shook her head. "There's no safe place for someone like me. He'll come for me." "Who?" "The one who bought me. He lost me when I ran. But he'll find me. He always does." Jace stared into the darkness beyond the trailer windows. Somewhere out there, someone cruel was looking for her. "Well," Jace said quietly, "he'll have to go through me first." Thalri looked at him like he was a ghost. No one had ever said that for her. No one had stood up for her. And now, a human, a total stranger, was doing it. She didn't cry, but her lips moved slightly, and her voice cracked. Thank you. Not a slave, but a refugee. Thalry didn't sleep that night. Even inside the safety of Jace's trailer, she stayed awake, curled in the corner, her back against the wall, eyes watching every shadow. Every noise outside made her flinch. Jace didn't try to talk much. He simply gave her space. At sunrise, he made hot broth and handed her a warm metal cup. You'll feel better if you eat. She stared at the cup for a long moment. Then she took it, her fingers trembling. Her hands were covered in old burns and cracked skin. Why are you helping me? She asked finally. Jace shrugged. Because it's right. No one helps someone like me, she said, her voice empty. I'm not even a person to them, I'm just property. You're not property, Jace said. You're someone who deserves to live. Thalry looked away. You don't know what I've done to survive. He sat across from her. Then tell me. She stayed quiet, but after a long moment she began to speak. I used to be an engineer. On the moon station of Telra, I had a life, family, work. Then, my people lost a war. We were claimed by the victors. They took our lands, our names, our bodies. Jace didn't interrupt. I was sold to a mining colony on Technor 7. Chained, forced to dig until my hands bled. They made us sleep in cages. They injected us with obedience drugs. We weren't allowed to speak. We weren't allowed to cry. Her voice cracked. One day a transport ship came. I saw a chance. I escaped. Barely. I ran for 2 days through the canyons. I thought I was free. But the tracker in my collar sent a signal. He followed. Who is he? Jace asked. Slaver. She spat the word like poison. He doesn't use names, just numbers. I was his 47th pet. But I bit him, fought him, broke the tracker. Ran. Her eyes burned with pain. I knew I wouldn't make it far. I was weak, dirty. And if I fell in front of a human, I thought, maybe if I offered myself, I'd be allowed to live just a little longer. She looked up at Jace. But you didn't take me. You carried me. Jace's voice was calm. You're not a slave. You're a refugee. Thalry stared at him. That word, refugee, hit her chest like a stone. She had forgotten that word existed. Forgotten it applied to her. Then something clicked. She looked down at her collar and reached for it with shaking hands. Can you remove this? She asked softly. Jace grabbed his toolkit. He worked carefully. The collar had a lock, but it was damaged. With steady hands, he cracked it open. The metal dropped to the floor with a clang. Thalry gasped. Her hand flew to her neck. It felt strange. Light. Free. No collar. No chain. No number. Jace smiled slightly. There. That's better. But suddenly, the lights flickered. Then came a sharp buzz from Jace's old warning scanner. He frowned. Motion detector just picked something up outside. Thalry froze. It's him. Jace moved fast. He turned off the lights and peeked through a crack in the door. A dust cloud was moving far out in the distance, small, but real. Someone was out there. He shut the scanner down. He hasn't seen us yet, but we have to move soon. I'll go, Thalry said quickly. He only wants me. If I leave... No, Jace said, voice firm. You're not running alone again. She blinked. But I'm just trouble to you. Jace walked over, kneeling down. You didn't ask for this. You don't deserve it. And I don't walk away from people who need help. Her voice trembled. Why? He hesitated, then answered with quiet strength. Because I lost someone once. Someone no one helped. I promised myself. Next time, I wouldn't look away. Thalry's eyes filled with tears. She didn't say anything more, but her shoulders relaxed for the first time. For the first time in months. She didn't feel alone. Hunted at night. Footsteps. Outside the camp, the stars above were cold and bright. The desert wind whispered through the rocks. Inside the hidden trailer, Jace worked quietly. He was packing supplies: water, food, spare clothes, and fuel cells. Valerie sat near the back of the trailer, wrapped in a blanket. Her arms were free now, but the fear inside her still felt like a chain. "How far is the next outpost?" she asked. 4 hours if we take the valley route," Jace replied without looking. "At here, it's risky, but it's faster." Valerie nodded slowly. "We won't make it before nightfall." "No," he agreed. "But we'll try." She looked at the map glowing faintly on the screen. "He never stops hunting. You don't know what he is." Jace turned toward her. "Then tell me." She swallowed hard. "His name is Varnook. He isn't just a slaver. He buys trained soldiers from broken worlds. Uses them like pets. I saw him make a slave girl kill her own sister, just because she refused to bow." Jace's hands tightened around the metal frame of the table. "He's not a man," she whispered. "He's a monster." There was silence for a moment. Then a soft beep from the motion scanner. Jace moved fast and shut off the lights. The trailer went dark. Valerie froze. Her eyes widened. Her breathing grew shallow. Jace grabbed his pulse rifle and peered through the narrow front window. The scanner showed movement. Close. Then, footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Crunching gravel. They were just outside. Jace motioned for Valerie to stay quiet. She held her breath. Her whole body tensed. She had heard that walk before. The way he dragged his left foot. The slow pause between steps. That was Varnook. The trailer door rattled. Just once. Then silence. Jace held the rifle steady. If the door opened, he'd shoot. No questions. Valerie trembled. She reached for the small blade Jace had given her, just in case. She held it tight. The silence stretched. Then, the footsteps faded. Jace waited another full minute before finally lowering the rifle. "He left," he whispered, or at least walked past. Valerie let out a shaking breath and slid to the floor. "No. He's still near. He never gives up." Jace didn't argue. He rechecked the trailer locks, then shut off all electronics. They would move at first light. Any earlier and their engine sound would give them away. "I'm sorry," Valerie said quietly. "He's coming for me. And now you're in danger, too." Jace sat down beside her. "You didn't choose this. And I don't run from the right thing just because it's hard." She looked at him, unsure if he was brave or foolish. After a long silence, she whispered, "When I first saw you, I thought you'd hurt me. That's all I've known from humans." Jace sighed. "I'm not proud of what my kind has done. But not all humans are the same. I can see that now." Then something shifted in her eyes. She leaned back, her voice distant. "When I was young," she said, "I dreamed of flying starships. I wanted to explore the stars, not be dragged across them in chains." Jace looked at her carefully. "Maybe you still can." She gave a bitter laugh. "Look at me. Do I look like someone who belongs on a ship?" "You look like someone who survived," he said. "That's stronger than most." Her laughter faded. She looked at him in silence and nodded once. That night, neither of them slept well. Outside, the wind howled like ghosts. Once or twice they heard a noise, too soft to be certain. Was it just rocks? Or was Varnook still there, watching? Jace stayed by the door all night, rifle across his lap. Valerie lay curled in her corner, eyes open in the dark. For the first time, she felt something strange deep inside her chest. Not just fear, but hope. Just a little. She tried to escape, but collapsed again. The first light of dawn crept over the rocky hills, soft and golden. Jace had barely moved, all night. He sat by the trailer's door, eyes heavy but alert, his rifle resting across his knees. Inside, Valerie quietly stood. She didn't wake him. She didn't speak. She just stared at him for a long moment. This strange human who had not tried to use her, not even once. She saw his rough hands, the small scars on his face. the way his body stayed ready to protect her even while he slept. And she felt guilt. Deep, twisting guilt. She couldn't let him die for her. She pulled on the worn boots he had given her, slipped outside, and began to walk away. Fast at first, then faster. The desert was still cold in the morning, and her breath came out in small clouds. Her legs ached, her ribs stung with every step. But she pushed forward. I'll draw him away, she thought. If I go alone, Jace will live. She had no food, no weapon, no map, but she had made up her mind. The sun rose higher. Her feet stumbled on the rocky path. Her body was weak, still healing. Her vision blurred from thirst. But she didn't stop, until her legs finally gave out. She fell hard, face first into the dust. Her hands scraped against the stones. Her knees buckled. Her chest heaved, but she couldn't move anymore. The world spun around her. In the distance, a shadow moved, tall and slow. Was it him? Her eyes widened. Her lips tried to scream, but no sound came out. Everything was dark. Then, hands. Gentle. Firm. Lifting her. Thalri. Jace's voice broke through her fading thoughts. What were you thinking? She blinked up at him. I had to leave. For you. Idiot, he muttered, carrying her back toward the trailer. You don't run from people trying to help you. Her head dropped against his chest. You were asleep. I wasn't, he said. I heard you leave. I followed. He placed her gently on the trailer bed and poured water onto a cloth, pressing it to her face. She winced. You think sacrificing yourself will help me, he said, angry now, but his voice still low. You think I'd rather watch you die, alone? I thought I was protecting you. I don't need protection, he snapped. You do, and you're not alone anymore. Thalri stared at him, breathing hard. Her body shook with exhaustion. Jace looked down at her, voice softer now. You don't have to be afraid of being a burden. But I am, she whispered. I'm broken. I bring danger. Jace sighed. I've seen broken. You're not it. You're still fighting. That means something. She blinked slowly. His words settled deep in her heart like warm light. Something inside her cracked, but not in pain, in release. I didn't mean to make trouble, she said. You didn't, he replied. The trouble came to you. I just caught it midway. Then he smiled slightly, the first smile she had seen on him. And next time you run off, take a sandwich at least. Thalri gave a weak, dry laugh. Next time, I'll wait. Jace stood. You're staying inside today. Rest. I'll move the trailer to a safer spot. She hesitated. You'll come back, right? He turned to her, and for a moment his face softened again. I always come back. As he stepped outside, Thalri leaned back on the bed. Her body was tired, but her heart was lighter. For the first time in a long time, someone had chased after her, not to capture her, but to save her. The desert wind outside began to rise. Somewhere out there, Varnook was still searching. But now, she wasn't running alone. The bounty hunter finds them. By late afternoon, the wind had changed. Jace could feel it. The air grew heavier. Quiet, like something was watching from beyond the rocks. He had moved the trailer deeper into the canyon, hiding it between two tall cliffs. It was the safest place for now, but safety never lasted long. Inside, Thalri sat with her back against the wall, her hands gripping a metal mug. Her body was still weak, but she looked stronger than before. Cleaner, warmer, more alive. Until the alarm beeped, a red light blinked. Motion sensor detected. Jace jumped to his feet. He peeked through a small hole in the trailer's metal wall. A black shape was approaching. Slow. Heavy steps. Broad armor. Long rifle over one shoulder. It was him. Varnook. Thalri's mug slipped from her hands and hit the floor. Her breath caught in her throat. He found us. Jace didn't waste time. Get down, don't make a sound, He turned off the trailer lights. The sun outside had begun to dip. Shadows crept along the canyon walls. Jace loaded his weapon. The shape came closer. Jace watched him through the crack. Varnok's armor was thick, reinforced with bone plating. His helmet glowed red. He moved, like he had all the time in the world. He knew they were inside. Suddenly, a loud knock. Boom, boom, boom. Jace didn't answer. His fingers stayed on the trigger. Varnok spoke. His voice was like a machine, deep and cold. "I don't want you, human. Just give me the girl. You won't be hurt." Thalri froze. Her eyes filled with panic. She whispered, "He always lies." Jace said nothing. Boom. Another knock. "Open the door, or I open it for you." Then came silence. Seconds passed. Then, clang. A metal spike slammed into the side of the trailer, cracking through the wall. Sparks flew. Jace grabbed Thalri and pulled her to the floor as another spike smashed through. "He's breaking in," she cried. Jace pulled open the floor hatch. "There's a tunnel under the trailer. Crawl now." Thalri dropped down and began crawling through the small escape tunnel Jace had dug for emergencies. But Jace didn't follow. Instead, he grabbed his second weapon, a grenade launcher, and faced the door. The door finally burst open, and there he was. Varnok, towering, armored, unstoppable. "You should have given her," the slaver growled. Jace fired. Boom! The grenade exploded in the doorway, throwing smoke and sparks everywhere. But Varnok was fast. He rolled aside and returned fire. A burst of red energy slammed into the trailer wall, burning holes straight through. Jace ducked behind a crate, fired again. Hit his shoulder. Pain shot through him, but he stayed standing. He bought time, because Thalri was still crawling. In the tunnel, she heard every blast above her. Her hands moved faster. Her knees scraped on rocks. Tears mixed with dirt on her face. "I can't leave him," her mind screamed. She reached the end of the tunnel, out into the open canyon. But instead of running, she stopped. She saw a pile of mining tools nearby, old, rusty, forgotten. Her eyes fell on something sharp. An old sonic drill. She picked it up. It was heavy. Her arms trembled, but she turned back toward the trailer. Inside, Jace was bleeding. Varnok kicked over a crate and aimed his gun. "Last chance, human. Move, or die." Then, Thalri screamed, "Hey!" Varnok turned his head just as the sonic drill fired. A blast of piercing sound slammed into his back armor. He staggered, dropped his weapon. Jace didn't hesitate. He rushed forward and tackled him. The two slammed into the wall with a crash. Dust filled the air. Varnok punched, but Jace dodged. He grabbed the pulse rifle from the floor and fired, direct hit to the helmet. Crack! The visor shattered. Varnok fell back, dazed. Blood ran down his face. He growled like an animal. "This isn't over." But Thalri aimed again and shot. One last sonic blast, direct to his head. This time he dropped. Still, silent. Jace leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Thalri ran to him. "You're hurt." "I've been worse," he said with a weak grin. You stayed." "So did you," he said, looking at her with wide eyes. She helped him up. As the sun fully set behind them, they looked down at the slaver's body. Jace smiled. "You're not a slave anymore." Thalri didn't speak, but she nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks, not from fear this time, but from freedom. The truth about her past. The campfire crackled under the star-filled sky. Varnok was gone. His ship had been destroyed, his weapons broken. Thalri had stood beside Jace during the fight, and she had helped finish it. Now the two of them sat in silence. Jace's left arm was bandaged. His ribs were bruised, but not broken. Thalri had cleaned his wounds and made him sit down. She kept checking him again and again, like she still didn't believe he was alive. He finally broke the silence. "You saved my life." Thalri looked at him, eyes wide. "You saved mine first." "That wasn't the same," he said. "You could have run. You didn't. You came back for me." She stared into the fire. "I couldn't leave you. Not after everything." There was a long pause. Then she said something she hadn't told anyone since the war. "I wasn't born a slave." Jace turned. To her, listening. My real name isn't just Thalry. It's Thalry Tenna of House Volari. I was once part of a noble family. My mother was a scientist. My father built ships for the Talari defense fleet. I was trained in advanced systems and starflight engines, power cores. She glanced down at her scarred hands. I was supposed to become a starship designer. I used to dream of building crafts that could touch the edges of the stars. Jace's eyes widened. What happened? Her voice dropped. When the war came, our house refused to serve the invaders. My father was executed in front of me. My mother was sold. I was taken to a processing camp where they stripped us of everything, our clothes, our names, our dignity. She paused. They called me Asset 47. They shaved my head, injected us with obedience serums. We were not people. We were tools. Jace looked at her quietly, a storm behind his calm eyes. They tried to erase who I was. Thalry whispered. And after years of chains, whips, and collars, I started to forget myself too. Jace didn't speak for a moment, then he said, But they didn't win. Thalry frowned. Didn't they? You're here, Jace said. You fought back. You remembered your name. That means they didn't break you. Thalry's eyes filled with tears. Not from pain, but something else. Something she had buried long ago. Pride. You really believe that? She asked. I do. She looked down at her hands. When I was cleaning your wounds today, I remembered working in my mother's lab, helping her with healing tech. I forgot how it felt to use my hands for something good. Jay smiled. You're more than what they tried to turn you into. She nodded slowly, wiping her face. Then she asked, What about you, Jace? Why are you out here alone? Jace leaned back, staring at the sky. I used to be in the military. Not high-ranking, just a scout. I saw a lot of horrible things, but one day during a routine job, we passed a slave colony. He paused. There was a girl, about your age, covered in bruises. She looked right at me through the fence, like she was screaming with her eyes, but I followed orders. I walked away. Thalry listened in silence. She was dead by the time we came back, he said. Shot while trying to escape. I never forgot her face. He looked at her. You reminded me of her. When I saw you on that road, I knew I had a second chance to do the right thing. Thalry gently touched his bandaged arm. You did. For the first time, she smiled without sadness. Jace smiled too. Then he pulled a small device from his pocket. I found this in Varnick's ship. It's a data shard. Shows who he sold and where. Thalry's eyes lit up. That could lead us to survivors. People like me. Exactly. She stood up slowly. Then let's not waste it. I don't just want to run anymore, Jace. I want to help others like me. He stood with her. You're sure? I'm not a slave, she said, voice steady. I'm a builder, a fighter, a survivor, and now, I have someone to stand beside. Jace looked at her, really looked, and saw someone who had come back from the edge. Stronger. Together, they turned toward the future. And for the first time since the war, Thalry walked not as a prisoner, but as herself. Not a slave, but his equal. The next morning, the desert was quiet. No wind, no danger. Only a soft breeze moved across the sand, carrying with it a feeling of something new. Freedom. Jace and Thalry stood near the burned wreckage of Varnock's ship. The slaver's body had been buried under the rocks, nameless and forgotten. But in his ship they had found more than weapons. They found hope. Thalry held the data shard tightly in her hand. It glowed with names, dozens of them. Aliens from across the stars, all sold, all lost, but maybe not all gone. This list could change everything, she said, her voice firm. If we find even one of them. Jace nodded. We will. He had already repaired the transport trailer. Their supplies were ready. The ship's booster had been mounted on the back. It wasn't pretty, but it would fly. They were heading toward Nova Reach, a human border colony with old records, scanners, and safe passageways. It was dangerous, but it was their best chance. Before they left, Thalry stood beside a small fire. She dropped something into the flames, her collar. The metal hissed as it burned. The chain cracked. She watched without blinking. Jace stood beside her in silence. When it was done, she turned to him. "Thank you." "You don't need to thank me," he said. "You freed yourself." She tilted her head. "No, you reminded me I could." They got in the trailer and took off. 2 days later, Nova Reach outskirts. The city gates were large and cold. Armed guards stood with scanners. Everyone had to show ID. Thalry pulled the hood lower over her face. Her scars were healing, but she still felt eyes on her. At the checkpoint, the guard looked at her, then at Jace. "Is she yours?" Jace stared at him. "No. She's my partner." The guard raised an eyebrow. "Really?" Jace leaned forward. "If you're about to say something dumb, think again." There was a tense moment. Then the guard shrugged and waved them through. Inside the city, lights danced in the air. Music played on street corners. It was the first time Thalry had seen a place where people weren't afraid. She smiled slightly. They found a room to rest for the night. Later, as they sat by the window, Thalry turned to Jace. "Do you ever think this all happened for a reason?" Jace took a deep breath. "I think the galaxy is cruel, but maybe sometimes it gives you a second chance." She looked down at her hands. "I don't feel broken anymore." "That's because you're not." She turned to him. Her voice was soft, uncertain. "You never treated me like a slave, not even when I begged you to." "Because you were never one," he said. "Not to me." She hesitated, then reached for his hand. "I don't know what happens next," she whispered. "But I don't want to walk it alone." Jace looked at her. Neither of them said the word love. It wasn't needed, because what they had now was deeper than that. Built not on desire, but on respect. On pain shared, on survival, on freedom. 1 week later, message from a survivor. A transmission came through the old channel. A weak voice. Alien. Scared. "This is a Larry of the Saran Tai. I was taken. I heard someone is looking for us. Please. I don't want to die here." Thalry's eyes filled with tears. Jace looked at her. "Ready for the next rescue?" She stood tall. Always. Final scene. As they flew into the stars, side by side, the galaxy stretched before them, full of danger, pain, and darkness, but this time she wasn't a slave. She was free and not alone, not anymore.